All right. Welcome everybody to Fitter and Faster Live TV. Got a special presentation today. Thanks for joining us. We're going to wait for a couple more people just to join on. Looks like we've got a good group already. So thank you for being with us today. Give it another 30 seconds or so. But my name is Brett Hawke. I am a 5-time Olympian. I swam for Australia at 2 Olympics, and I've coached at the past 3 Olympics. I now work full-time at Fitter and Faster Tour, and I'm the director of swim camps and clinics. And right now we've been diversifying our business a little bit and putting together these excellent webinar series for everybody to join into. And we've got a great one today that I'm really excited about. A little bit nervous talking to this Olympic legend that we have today. So again, thanks for joining us. I think we're going to get into the introductions here now. So let me start with our first 2 presenters who are going to be asking the questions. And our first presenter is Jimmy Tierney. He's the head coach of McKendree University. So Jimmy, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, Brett.
Thank you. And we also have Jeanne Fleck, who's the head coach at Fresno State. Thanks for being with us, Jeanne.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Okay, well, let's get into the star of the show. Her resume is actually incredible. I don't even know where to start, but let's start with this. She's one of the most decorated swimmers in history. She has won 12 Olympic medals, including 8 gold, and she competed for the U.S. in 4 Olympics from 1992 to 2004. She also swam and studied at Stanford University, where her team won 4 straight national titles. She is now an anesthesiologist, I hope I got that pronunciation correct, at a hospital in Charleston, South Carolina. She's also married with 2 children, and I really want to find out what she's terrible at, because right now it looks like she's good at everything. So welcome, Dr. Jeanne Thompson.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So, Jeanne, just tell us where you're coming from today.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
We can hear you.
Okay, because it looks like I'm a bit stuck in my end on the picture.
No, you're good. Go for it.
All right, cool. I am calling from my office at the Veterans Hospital in Charleston, where I work.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
All right. Well, I'm really just going to sit back and listen to Jimmy and Jeanne take over some of the questions and listen to your answers, because I'm really intrigued as well. So I'll let Jeanne, you go first. Go for it.
All right. Well, I asked some of your teammates from Stanford some questions, because I know Lee and I know Summer, and so I asked them what I should ask you. And Summer said I should ask, what is your favorite anchor leg ever?
Oh, there's so many.
There are.
I love being the anchor. Wow.
I got on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, see, the problem is that I have what I think I have a little bit of Alzheimer's, but no, not really. But I'm so immersed in the world of medicine and being a mom now that it's hard for me to remember exactly. So I'd have to say that one of my favorite relays, even though it wasn't the anchor leg, was in the 92 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I did do the anchor. No, that's just really sad that I don't even know which leg I did. But it was the medley, the 400 medley relay. Because Lee was the backstroker, and I'm pretty sure I did the freestyle because Christiane and Leighton did the butterfly, and Anita Nall breaststroke. But Summer was on the preliminary portion of it, and it was I really just loved being with some of my best friends in the whole world, on that relay, and it was my first Olympics. And standing up there on the podium for one of the first times with great friends and representing our country, it was just maybe the most powerfully memorable of all of the relays I was a part of.
Yeah.
But gosh, my years at Stanford and being on many anchors with my teammates there, those are some of my favorite memories.
Did you find yourself anchor leg often, even like as a freshman, or did you sort of develop that over a couple years?
I think I was pretty much from the beginning an anchor, and sometimes I would go first, I think.
Yeah.
Those are the usual two spots. But I really thrived on coming from behind, and so the anchor was the best place for that. Not always. A lot of times we'd be in the lead. That's always great, but to try to get a bigger lead.
Yeah.
But I did always really relish the opportunity to, come from behind. That was one of my favorite things to do in the sport.
Did they give you a choice of where you wanted to swim on the freestyle relay?
At times, I remember that discussion, but I always go with the advice of my coaches.
Yeah.
My wonderful coaches are wise. So, whatever they thought was best, I usually would go with that.
And did you enjoy the 800 free relay as much as you enjoyed the 400s?
I'm not going to lie. 200 is a little far from me. It always was. I can tell you the most painful relay leg I ever did was in Atlanta. We won that relay, and it was awesome. But that one really was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had the pleasure last year of at the ASCA convention introducing your club coach, Mike Parado, as our ASCA Coach of the Year.
Yes.
And that was a great honor for me. I've known Mike for a long time. As a matter of fact, I even came to recruit at Seacoast shortly after you had left to go to Stanford, the next wave of talented swimmer that followed you. But Mike told me that you definitely were, a speed demon from early on. But at one point, of course, until 1988, the Olympics didn't have the 50 in its event. Was that ever in your mind? Were you old enough to think, okay, there's not a 50, I've got to develop some other, events or distances if I want to go to the Olympics?
I think I lived in the moment more than that. So when I was 12 and, I turned 15 or 16 in 88. So I wasn't really looking at the Olympics that closely. My first international competition was the 87 Pan American Games. And I competed and won the 50 there. I probably didn't even realize it wasn't an Olympic event, to be honest. I was just so, focused on getting my best time or, winning nationals and that, that kind of a closer goal at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, he told me a great story. I don't know if you remember this. Well, first of all, he talked about the first junior nationals where you guys drove from Dover all the way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for two of you swimming a 50 free, right? So one day, one dash, and that was the whole competition for you. But he told me that he made a deal where he said, if you wanted to go to junior nationals again, you're going to have to make 3 cuts and do it unshaved for me to take you. Do you remember that?
I don't remember those specifics, but Mike was good like that. He that was such an amazing trip. My brother was the other swimmer,
Right.
My older brother Aaron, and so it was Mike and Amy, his wife, and co-coach at Seacoast, and then my brother and myself, and we drove to Alabama in the blazing heat with no air conditioner. And I remember eating at Shoney's a lot of cantaloupe, and I broke my tailbone on that trip.
Ouch.
I think that was actually the day of must have been the day of the 50. I didn't know it was broken at the time. And then I got an x-ray at some point later, and they said, oh, you broke your tailbone at some point. I said, I know exactly when that was.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a really fun trip. And Mike always made it fun for us. It was always more about the experience and the life lessons than the actual race.
Yeah. What was the environment like then? Because obviously it was almost like a family environment, literally, right?
Yeah,
With husband and wife. So
I mean, yeah, definitely. Mike and Amy are part of my family for sure.
yeah. What was the environment on the pool deck or the experience that made it for so many swimmers to go to a pretty high level in a relatively small populated area? I mean, it's really astounding the number of people that went on to high-end Division I programs, aside from yourself, obviously, with tremendous international success. But what did they create? I mean, and what was it about that environment that made people?
Well, I think it was a long time coming that Mike was, the coach of the year, because to me, he's always been the coach of the year. But, I can't say enough about that. It's all about him. The reason we had so many successful collegiate athletes come out of Seacoast, his priority was developing a whole person, not just swimming fast, but being a good person, and academics was definitely a strong emphasis, and just incredible work ethic. I mean, he inspired us to want to work hard and to realize that to be better, we needed to do that. And we all enjoyed it. He made it fun. Yeah. So, I mean, he's the reason that happened. I mean, you probably, it follows him wherever he goes, not necessarily the team, but the coach.
Yeah. Because at that time, you didn't have a 50-meter pool or a real pool, a big pool, did you, for your team?
Well, we were very, very fortunate. There are not very many pools in New Hampshire, but our town of Dover had an indoor 25-yard pool and an outdoor 50-meter pool.
Okay.
Very few of those in all of New England. And so we were very lucky, but it wasn't heated for the first several years. And basically, I think they filled it with a hose or something. So you can imagine in northern New England in May and even June, it was freezing. we used to do things like rub Vaseline all over our body. I mean, we were like open water swimmers, but not in the open water. We were in a pool, but I would hide behind the swing set.
I like it. Hey, Jenny, I got a question. Why and how did you end up choosing Stanford to go to school?
Oh, that's a great question. Because of Mike's tutelage, academics was always very important to me. But I was looking very closely at University of Texas, and Stanford and Berkeley were probably my top three. Uh-huh. And they were also, all of them were at least top five, I think, at that time. Stanford and Texas were duking it out every year. So I know I wanted to be at
pretty normal.
The best swimming, the best swimming program. And honestly, I couldn't decide. I had a really hard time deciding. I love both programs. Richard Quick was very charming and very convincing. He came to visit me twice and tolerated my dog shedding all over his nice suit and everything. But you know what? It's kind of embarrassing to say now, but my mom bribed me to go. She promised to get me a motor scooter if I went to Stanford.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's a cool bribe.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
But in hindsight, I was so very, very happy that that I made that choice, and Stanford was the perfect place for me, and I thrived there, and loved it.
And were you roommates with Lee all the way through your freshman year? What?
No.
Okay.
No, Stanford is very, they encourage intermingling, athletes and non-athletes. So actually at that time, it was not, you were not able to room with other swimmers as a freshman. They want people to mix and meet all different kinds of people. So I never actually roomed with a swimmer while I was in my 4 years. I did after, but
okay.
yeah, I roomed with friends I met through the school. But Lee and I were roommates on many swim trips.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Notably the 92 Olympics. So. and the 2000, what Worlds was that? Which was the Worlds in Perth? 2000, no.
1998.
98, yeah. We had a blast there. That was fun.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have been watching, the Bulls documentary, right? Where they're basically like rock stars, walking around with Michael Jordan and et cetera, et cetera. And when you look at your all's team back then, from a swimming standpoint, you guys were like rock stars. I mean, you, Lee, Summer, Janelle.
Yeah.
My sister Dorsey and her Texas friends are going to probably kill me for saying this, but you guys had a star-studded pool deck. I mean, did you sort of realize it in the midst of all that, or was it just like, these are my friends and my teammates? Because from the outside, it was like, holy cow, this is an incredible team.
Yeah, it was a very unique situation, and we fed off of each other. I mean, that's why we all rose to that level, because of each other. I mean, it was daily, every practice, encouraging each other, cheering each other, Richard cheering us on. And I miss those days of having, 20 sisters, all with a common goal of winning the NCAA, and combined with, Olympic hopes, and really just helping each other get to that level. It was really special. I don't think we thought of each other as superstars, though. It was always, the summer camps would come and we'd be like, really? These guys want our autograph? No, it was like, we thought of each other as just regular people, regular, teammates, and just happened to be that's what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Did Richard cultivate the atmosphere? Did you have people that helped, because you were all very competitive young ladies,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Richard had everything to do with it. He, saw things in people, saw potential in us that we never knew we had. And, I remember all of us doing dry lands and him, kind of shouting out our goals, and they were all like world record times. And he really believed that we could do that. And, we only believed it after hearing him say it a million times, to really believe it in ourselves, and then to see it when we actually did it. When I broke the world record in the 100 freestyle in 92, I couldn't believe it when I saw it on the scoreboard. But I think he knew all along that was going to happen. Yeah.
Hey, I got a question. How did you balance this? Obviously, you're a doctor now, so you were very into your school and at one of the top schools in the country, but then you're also this Olympic star as an athlete. Mm-hmm. How did you balance the two while you were in school?
Well, as an undergrad, I did what I didn't really think about going into medicine until I was a senior. And honestly, it would have been hard to do all along at Stanford with the labs and everything. I think that's hard anywhere, with all of our intensive training, to fit everything in. So I decided I would just do a post-baccalaureate program after I graduated, and then just spread out the pre-med work over more than 4 years. Mm. So I was able to, I kept on with Stanford and Richard after I graduated, And so I just commuted to Oakland and did a pre-med program there. And so it was kind of like still going to undergrad. I do my coursework in the morning, swim, then go do coursework, and then go back for afternoon. So I just did that for 2 more years. And then I swam professionally for a couple of years, which was awesome, and did a lot of traveling. And then I deferred a year starting medical school. Once I started medical school was after 2000. And I thought I'd retired at that point, but then my mom was sick with cancer, and 9/11 happened while I was in New York, and a bunch of things. I just started swimming for peace of mind, and then spent time with my mom in New Hampshire after my first year medical school, and spending time with Mike and the team was very comforting for me. And so I started practicing with them, and then I started swimming fast, and then I went to the nationals, and I qualified for Pan Pacs Worlds and the Olympic trials, and then the ball just started rolling. So I ended up taking a year off from medical school so that I could focus on the swimming, and then after those games I retired for good.
Wow.
So can I ask you a question? So you said when you started med school, you took a break. How long of a break did you take from swimming?
Well, 2000, basically after the 2000 games, I had stopped swimming, and then I started back up again the following summer. So then the summer of 2001.
Okay.
So it wasn't much of a break.
Well, a lot of the kids right now are kind of stressing out because we have this break and they're not in the water, but you came back stronger and better and fast.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe you can give, why do you think you were able to come back that well?
Well, I stayed in shape. I was doing a lot of Stairmaster and running and spinning and other things. So that's a huge, way. Those are ways you can stay in shape and not exactly be in the water, but I feel like the aerobic workouts translate somewhat. But I think, when you have the desire and the motivation, that you can do anything. So, and you put the work in. So, we'll get back into everyone will get there. We'll get there, and we'll, just stay positive. You'll get back right where you were, or even better. It's a good time to watch a lot of videos of technique and to learn in different ways. Try to be innovative about how you can get better. It reminds me of when I broke my arm in 1994, and it was somewhere before the World Championship trials. And so it was actually, it was devastating, but it was cool in a way in that I got to kind of be innovative with how can I still stay in shape and how can I still swim with a broken arm. So I did a lot of different things, worked with my weight trainers, and, did a lot of kicking and swimming with large fins.
Yeah. There's always a way around it, right?
Yeah. And it was every day was a fun challenge to see how can I try to get better even though my arm is broken. So in a way we all have a broken arm right now.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
A broken wing.
Yeah.
Mike actually told me a story. It might have been the early 2000s when you were back, and he said one day that you had told him they were in groups, and you said, "I think I need to go and do a little bit of distance work." And according to him,
I don't know if I would ever say that.
He claims you got in with the younger guys, and over halfway through the set, the younger guys started dying off, and at some point you were lead the group, and he said you touched at the wall and looked back at them and said, "Why am I leading this right now?" And said he appreciated that because those kids needed to understand.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be fading that quickly. But
Yeah.
so it seems like some of the conditioning from the past is definitely, not all lost, right? And if you're not out too long, that you can bring it back with just a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of patience to kind of get back into things.
That's right.
But I have a question too, going back to Stanford. From the outside, like Richard was a mentor of mine, and as well as many coaches.
Me too.
But in a lot of ways, he seemed, especially at competition, so serious and so focused and driven and everything else. But Lee talked about there always being levity on the deck, and she called it playful racing a lot. So Richard must not have been, serious, 24/7 with you guys. I mean, what was his demeanor on the deck, and, how did he make it kind of fun for you guys at times?
So I think we all got a kick out of making fun of Richard. That made it fun for us.
Right.
But he was always serious. But he was able to joke around and make it fun. I mean, he thought it was fun, so it kind of made rubbed off on us. I mean, he would think it would be funny for us to do these crazy hard sets, and so you can't get mad at that if he's like laughing and smiling. We loved swimming fast for Richard. It was like we loved to seeing him, get so excited, and he was our best cheerleader. He would run up. I mean, he never ran out of passion for what he did. He would run up and down the pool deck. I mean, this is regular basis. And we just knew that he was just excited, thinking up the workouts we were going to do, or the experts he was going to bring in to help us, whether it was with yoga or nutrition or, just a myriad of different ways. He was always thinking, how can we improve? And I think that was a life lesson for all of us of no matter what you're doing, never rest on your laurels and never assume that you've passed your peak, that there's always room for more.
Yeah.
And he expected that of himself. And so, we did that of ourselves too. Yeah,
absolutely. I got a question real quick. We swam at 2 Olympics. You were on the US team. I was on the Australian team. We didn't hate the Americans. We had a very healthy rivalry. We wanted to beat you guys so bad.
Maybe just some of them Americans.
No. We totally respected you because you were just so good, and you always look good too, by the way. So, but
oh, well, thanks.
Did you have any? Thank you. Did you specifically have any Australian rivals? Anybody that was always kind of racing against you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're putting me on the spot. Well, Susie O'Neill, of course.
Susie O'Neill, yeah, okay.
Yeah, she was a beloved rival. Yeah. Very classy. I always admired her.
Yeah, she's a good woman too.
Yes. And now I can't. Now I'm embarrassed because I can't remember her name. The sprinter.
That's all right. I can't remember names either, so don't worry about it. But Susie O'Neill, that's a good one because she was so dominant for us. She was like the superstar for the Australian women's team, and
exactly.
She had a lot of pressure on her as well. Did you feel pressure? Yeah. Like, did you, when you were racing, was pressure something that got to you at all?
Oh yeah. Usually I could take pressure and stress in a healthy and direct it into a healthy influencer, like to use it as getting psyched up, to get motivated, to focus that nervous energy in a positive way. I really struggled at the 1996 Olympic trials. That was a really heart-wrenching experience, and I don't know what. I still, I couldn't put a finger on it, but I suffered from insomnia really bad. And and it really showed in my performance at the trials. And I was still, super lucky to make it on some relays and had a great Olympics in the relays. But that was the time when I could not focus the stress in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I really wish that I had worked with a sports psychologist earlier in my career. I finally did that late in my career, and I found it to be extremely helpful. I mean, coaches have always helped me in that way, but I feel like a dedicated sports psychologist for that elite level can be very useful.
Yeah.
And sleep. You just said, we've really found how important sleep is and eating correctly, and it's been a big push. And like you said, you're in, had that insomnia. I have a question though. You were one of the first, well, not the first, but you were in that first group of pro swimmers. Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy that? And how was it hard to go from college into pro? And tell us a little bit about that.
It wasn't hard at all because I needed the money. I struggled, my mom, single parent family, and she worked in a lab at a hospital. We didn't have a lot of money at all. She wasn't able to help me that much through college, but I decided I didn't want to go pro after the 92 Olympics, after my freshman year, because I loved swimming for Stanford and for the NCAA so much that, I grew up thinking money wasn't that important because we didn't have it anyway. So I figured I could wait 3 more years and to see that happen. And I was really glad I did that. I think that, that's one of my greatest accomplishments, was to be part of 4 NCAA championships consecutive. And I would never give up that experience of the, having those wonderful teammates and those NCAA victories. But I signed with Speedo right after I finished my eligibility. And I felt really grateful that was an opportunity. And it was fun to kind of try to market my swimming and to endorse different products. I had a lot of fun with that. I also enjoyed racing for money overseas.
That's always good.
Yeah, now we can do that. Now swimmers can do that in the U.S.
Yeah.
But at that time we didn't have that opportunity. But it was. I just found it really invigorating to, be able to race and get a wad of cash at the end. That was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who was your biggest rival in America at the time? Like, who did you go head to head with a lot?
Well, it depends, because I had a lengthy.
Yeah, that's
time.
true. Yeah, you outswam a few people.
Yeah. So let's see. Early on, nationally, it was like Leanne Fetter, Jill Sturkle, Amy Van Dyken, Dara Torres, Nicole Hayslett. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah. A lot of really good swimmers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Jenny, what did you do or develop over time mentally to get yourself ready before big races? I have one visual that I can remember, and I don't remember exactly what Olympics it was, but the camera was on the pool at the end of warm-up, and it looked like you were the only one in the pool. It may not have been the case, but you were the only one in the camera, and you're doing sort of the vertical dolphin drills. You would kind of push out of the water and slide back under. And I don't know if that was just something that you developed with Richard or Bill Boomer or whatever. Maybe that was more of a physical, or maybe it was some of a mental thing to relax you and just put you in a certain spot. But what were some of the things that you learned over time that would help you prepare for, big time races?
Well, I don't think I'm unique in saying that ritual was important. Having warm-ups and then having whatever, snack I'm going to have, a stretching routine, leaving time for visualization in a quiet space, jumping around, getting heart rate going, those sorts of things. So I think going through the process and the ritual was important. But then also, just really trying to be in the moment and enjoy what's going on around me. I think over time I learned that was something that helped relax me and allowed me to have more fun, which I believe is a very important piece of swimming fast.
Yeah. Jenny, I want to open it up to the people that at home that are watching right now. There's, about 230 odd people right now at home watching, and we're starting
Hi,
to get.
everyone.
Yes, we've got some questions. I'm going to open up the chat to everybody in a second, but there was some private messages that came in. There was a question from Daniel Russell, and he said, "Did you ever hit a plateau during high school or college? And how did you overcome the plateau?"
I need Mike Parada here. He's the brain and has the great memory. I think I did. I think I did have a bit of a plateau in high school, and I think that I could that growing and that sort of thing was the reason. I have to say I don't really ever remember having a mental plateau, like being bored or tired of what I was doing. I always really enjoyed it, and if I didn't, I worked with my coaches to make changes so that it stayed fresh and fun.
Yeah, I'm going to get to some more questions here, but I just have one specific. I have a medical question. Tell me about the mask you're wearing. Are they really effective, and how does it prevent you from getting or spreading the virus?
So the mask I'm wearing right now is not very protective. It is basically, this is like what people are wearing around in the grocery stores and things.
Yeah.
This basically prevents you from breathing on other people, or if you were to cough, it prevents any germs from flying out into the air. For protection from the COVID virus, you need an N95 mask or greater. And so that prevents, there's a good seal around your face, but also what it's made out of prevents any particulates from being breathed in. But also it's important to protect your whole face with some sort of shield, because anything that touches your skin, you're at risk of contaminating yourself or inoculating yourself by rubbing your eyes or touching your nose, or it can get in eyes, nose, mouth that way. So yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of masks. I have learned so much about industrial respirators and things I never thought I would need to know about. So yeah, I had never uttered the word P100 mask or, all these PAPR, all these words. I've learned so many new things in the past 2 months. It's like my brain is exploding, but it's been a ride.
Are you on call right now, or what's happening? Like, you're obviously checked out?
No, I'm actually done for the day. I'm just here because it's quiet.
Oh, okay.
More quiet than it would be at home.
Well, if you're done for the day, you've obviously been working hard a lot longer than we have today, so we appreciate that. Thanks for being with us. There was a question on here from somebody. Can you guys see the questions, by the way? If you click on chat, you might be able to see some questions pop up. But one of the questions here was, how do you what was the kind of a mental skill that you deal with? And in relation to that, Jenny, obviously, your swimming was high intensity, your studying's high intensity. How did you, what did you do in your free time to kind of clear your head? Hopefully Jenny's still there.
Oh, she might have, there she is.
I just lost the signal for a second.
Okay.
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
Oh, so my question is basically, what did you do in your free time to clear your head? Obviously, the intensity of swimming at a high level and studying at a high level. What did you do to clear your mind and just have some free time?
Well, I was always a big believer in balance in life. So, in addition to academics and swimming, my social life was very important to me, my friendships, my family. So really enjoying those aspects and spending a lot of time with friends and doing all the things normal people do to have fun.
Yeah.
I tried to stay away from high risk activities, but I even did, ski and things like that, but
Okay.
cautiously.
And Jenny, do you stay in touch with a lot of your Stanford teammates and things like that?
Yeah.
Or do you have a close group?
Yeah. I always wish there could be more get-togethers and things like that, but life, it seems to get in the way of that. But social media has been great for that, staying in touch, with texting or Facebook or whatever old people do. Not so much of an Instagrammer, sorry to say, but.
Do your kids obviously know that you're a superstar doctor, but do they know that you were a superstar athlete?
Yeah, my 7-year-old is aware. When he was a little younger, I went and talked to his preschool and about the Olympics and things like that. But to him, I'm just mom.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter what title you put in front of my name. I'm just that lady who needs to make me dinner now.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Moms are superstars in everyday life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm scrolling through. I'm looking through some questions. If you guys see a question that you guys want to jump on, by all means.
Well, I thought I saw one. Well, you already talked about the injury or a big setback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question is, how did you handle the pressure for being number one all the time?
Yeah.
It would get to me at times. Probably one of my bigger setbacks other than breaking my arm was going into the actual 92 Olympics themselves, because I had the world record at the time and in the 100 freestyle that I set at the trials. And then, I thought were great races. I was just off my best time at the Olympics, but was beat. And so I think that was really hard for me, getting silver medal, having the world record. And that, I always was against crying after races. I always felt like that was, as a younger kid, and I always felt like that was like a pointless endeavor. And just, think about what you can do better next time. And what's the big deal? But that was probably one of the first times I cried after a race, but it was pretty short. And but I became very quickly determined that was going to motivate me to keep going to the next Olympics, and that really kind of pushed me to the next level for the next 4 years. So I think that I tried not to think about being number one. I just tried to think about how I can get better, how I can improve. And so that was how I tried to set it in my mind, so I wouldn't be, stressed out by having to maintain being first, and instead think about how can I improve.
Yeah. For all the young kids on here who are asking what your favorite stroke is, if you've never seen Jenny Thompson swim, you need to type in YouTube, Jenny Thompson, and have a look at her races. I mean, incredible. But what would you say, Jenny? Were you always a sprint freestyler, or were there other strokes that you swam butterfly too, right?
Yeah, I had the world record for a while.
Okay, maybe I need to type it
No, so I always loved all the strokes. I think that was another thing I can attribute to Mike. We trained all 4 strokes. We trained, all distance and everything. So I always loved the IM. Actually, my favorite event was probably the 100 IM, which we were able to do at the short course Worlds. That was really fun to race that as a professional swimmer.
How
But,
did you place in that, by the way?
What's that?
How did you place in that 100 IM?
Well, that I had the world record. I won it, but
Of course you did.
I loved racing against Martina Morikova was my big competitor for that one. She's the IMer.
Yeah.
But luckily, breaststroke's my worst. So luckily, I tried to make as much of that 25 the pull out as possible, and so there wasn't actually too much breaststroke stroke.
Yes.
But yeah, so I started out as a freestyler at Stanford. I really, with the help of Bill Boomer and Richard Quick, I really developed my butterfly, and I enjoyed them both equally. Now that I'm a master swimmer, I'm now backstroke is my favorite.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice.
No, I'm not really I only do a little bit of master swimming. I've never swum in a competition as a master swimmer.
Hey, Jenny, where's your Olympic medals?
Some of them are at the Hall of Fame Museum in Fort Lauderdale. And then the other ones are in my safe.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I think we might go with one last question for each of Jeanne and Jimmy here and before, because we know that you've given us a lot of your time and we appreciate it. So last questions for you guys.
I have one, and it's from here, but I know the person that's asking, Ann Walker, is asking you, who is your most influential teammate or coach during your career?
I can't really pick a coach. I have, equal. Right. I've been blessed to have tremendous coaches.
Right.
I've talked about Mike and Richard, but also John Collins at Badger was my coach while I was in medical school and after. So, I've had some of the best coaches in the world, and I'm really blessed for that. So I can't choose one, but probably Lee Maurer is like my soulmate when it comes to Lee Lovelace Maurer, when it comes to teammates. But really the group we had in 92, Summer and Lee and we just really pushed each other to the next level and did it in a way that was fun and caring, and we really cared about each other a lot. Yeah.
Jimmy?
Jenny, you've been basically a swimming treasure for USA Swimming, and thanks to all the great memories that you've provided us over the years, and the accomplishments are just astounding. Is there anything that stands out in your career, like a moment, either your first championship or your last, or are they all equal kind of thing, like your children? Or is there anything that would be maybe one of your greatest memories of all time that you could share?
Well, you're going to make me cry. But, swimming isn't separable from your life. So, like, to me, it was just a part of my life. And at the 2003 the 2003 Worlds in Barcelona, my mom was able to come, even though she was sick with cancer. And I haven't talked about my mom a lot during this interview, but she was, the most influential person in my life. And we were very close, and she would always travel around the world to watch me swim. And she was able to do that last time. And I just remember winning the 100 butterfly and looking up in the stands, and she was sitting up there and smiling and so happy, but also very sick, very thin and sick from the cancer. And I was just so grateful that she could be there and cheer me on in her favorite city in the world, and where, my Olympic success started. It was really like a complete career for me at that point, even though I did swim another year after that. But that was the icing on the cake for me.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. All right. Last question for me is, what is Jenny Thompson not good at? Like, tell me something that you're terrible at. Give it to me.
Cooking.
You can't cook, really?
I mean, I can, but I'm not really good at it.
Oh, come on. Come on, I'm sure you are. What are you bad at? Come on, give us something you're terrible at.
Let's see.
Other
A
sport?
lot of things. Yeah, skateboarding.
Good. I'm glad you
Let's
can't
see.
skateboard.
Hoverboarding. No, there's a lot. I mean, there are so many things I'm bad at. I don't really know where to start. Really, I mean, do you just happen to be talking about the few things that I'm good at?
Well, you're very good at being a doctor right now. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time that you've given to us. Thanks for our presenters, Jimmy and Jeanne, and the questions you guys had. Thanks for your time as well. So, is there anything you want to leave us with, Jenny, at all?
No, I just want to say thanks for your support during the COVID times and to hang tough. I know it's not easy right now that people aren't able to swim and swim teams are suffering. But just hang in there and we'll get through this.
Great. Well, you too. Thanks for your hard work and thanks for being on here, guys. And we'll see you all next time. All right. Take care.
Thanks so much.
You.
Take care, Jenny.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, how do we do this?
End event. Red.